It's 1974. Deep in the Philippine jungle, a man is crouching in the shadows, the humid air pressing against his skin, the dense foliage surrounding him like an impenetrable fortress. His uniform is tattered, his face weathered, but his eyes, they are sharp, relentless, as if the world around him has not changed in nearly 3 decades. His name is Hiroo Onoda, and he hasn't heard the word peace in 29 years. In 1944, Hiroo Onoda was a young officer in the Imperial Japanese Army sent to the isolated island of Lubang, part of the Philippines. His orders were simple but absolute. Do not surrender. No matter what happens, he was to remain in the jungle and fight. His mission was intelligence gathering, keeping the American forces from landing and securing the island. But then the war ended. The Allies claimed victory and the world moved on. Except, not Hiroo. He stayed. Alone. He didn't believe the war was over. The Japanese Imperial Army had, after all, trained him to be resolute, to fight until the very end, to never accept defeat. He was taught to endure, to fight in silence, and to trust nothing but his own training. So, when leaflets were dropped from planes in 1945, declaring that Japan had surrendered, Onoda didn't flinch. He dismissed them as enemy propaganda. He didn't trust the radio broadcasts or the rumors from passing civilians. The war is not over, he told himself. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. Alone in the jungle, Hiroo lived like a ghost, fighting battles that only he could see. He became a master of survival, hunting wild boar, eating roots, hiding from soldiers, and constantly adjusting his tactics to avoid capture. He had no supplies, no backup, only the tools of an old-fashioned soldier, his rifle, a knife, and the sheer will to survive. His comrades, they left him behind. They had been ordered to surrender or commit suicide when they could no longer fight. Onoda, he would not abandon his post, not until the mission was complete. For decades he operated in the belief that Japan was still at war, believing that his orders had never been rescinded. By the early 1960s, Onoda's presence in the jungle was no longer a mystery to the world. There were rumors of a soldier, a Japanese holdout, still living on Lubang. His legend spread, though it was met with disbelief. How could someone still be fighting a war that ended so long ago? And yet, the jungle hid its secrets. No one was sure if Onoda was even still alive. But there were whispers, reports, sightings. Each time, Onoda eluded capture, vanishing deeper into the wilderness. In 1969, an expedition was mounted to find him. Local authorities tried to contact him with loudspeakers, hoping to convince him the war was over. But Onoda had learned one lesson from years of jungle warfare: trust no one. He didn't answer, he didn't believe, and so they left, frustrated, convinced that Onoda was a ghost. Time moved on. The 1970s came and went. A world that had been transformed by the Vietnam War, the moon landing, and political upheavals had moved on from the old battles. Meanwhile, Onoda, tired but still burning with purpose, kept fighting. He had even encountered the locals by now. They had offered him food, clothing, and help, but he had refused. He wasn't their soldier. He was Japan's soldier, and Japan, in his mind, was still at war. Then, in 1974, something changed. A young man named Norio Suzuki, a Japanese adventurer, set out on a quest to find the legendary soldier. Armed with nothing but curiosity and a camera, Suzuki trekked into the jungle, following the stories, the whispers. He wasn't looking for Onoda to bring him back. No, he was looking to meet him, to see if the rumors were true. He was determined to find the man who had refused to die. It took Suzuki days to track him down, but when he finally found him, Hiroo Onoda didn't greet him with words of peace. He didn't even lower his rifle. No, Onoda saw him as a threat, a potential enemy soldier. The tension was thick, the jungle alive with the sound of every leaf rustling in the heavy, oppressive air. But Suzuki wasn't just any man. He wasn't an enemy soldier. He was there with a message that would change Onoda's life forever. The war was over. Onoda didn't believe him, not at first. Suzuki explained that Japan had surrendered nearly 3 decades ago, that Onoda's mission was long over. that the country was rebuilding and peace had settled over the land. Onoda, incredulous, wouldn't accept it. But Suzuki didn't stop. He brought photographs, documents, letters from the Japanese government, even the voice of a former commanding officer, Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, who spoke directly to Onoda, urging him to return home. And then, finally, the unthinkable happened. Hiroo Onoda, a soldier who had spent 29 years alone in the jungle, in a war that never was, decided to walk away. Suzuki's story spread like wildfire. The world could hardly comprehend it. A man who had fought for nearly 3 decades without knowing the war was over? The story was strange, tragic, and impossible to ignore. The documentaries followed. News outlets scrambled. People couldn't understand how a man could live with such conviction, with such isolation, for so long. When Onoda finally returned to Japan, the nation had changed. It was no longer the war-torn, occupied country he had left behind. It had become a symbol of rebuilding, of growth, of peace. But Hiroo Onoda, he was still the same soldier, the same man who had walked away from his duty only because he was told it was over. And yet, something was different. He was not hailed as a hero, nor was he condemned as a fool. He was just a man who had, for all those years, held on to a belief, to never surrender, no matter what. And in a world that had moved on without him, he became a symbol of something else: the tragedy of war, the persistence of duty, and the human spirit's capacity to hold on, long after everyone else has let go. Hiroo Onoda died in 2014, but the legacy of his story remains. He wasn't just a soldier. He was a living, breathing testament to the cost of war, to the price of blind loyalty, and to the incredible lengths one man would go to, just to keep fighting for a cause he no longer understood. The jungle may have finally quieted, but Hiroo Onoda's battle, that never ended.